were there any doubts in your mind whether I'm doing the right thing or should I continue with my job and do something else? So did at any point in time that doubt creep into your mind?
Definitely, sir.
Hello everyone, welcome to this video wherein we have a very special guest with us. As you might have seen in the thumbnail and in the title and the description, we have Anushri Naik with us. Now, Anushri is a CA by qualification. She is also an alumnus of IIM Ahmedabad and she is presently working with BCG from where she had got a PPO during her MBA. We will discuss with Anushri what her preparatory journey looked like because there are a lot of ups and downs that you can learn from. We will also see the entire psyche of someone who goes to IIM Ahmedabad experiences and how it's formed. And we'll also have a look at consulting in general as a career. And there are a lot of preparatory nuggets along the way as well. So go through the entire video and we will start our interaction with Anushri with this first question. So, Anushri, to start with, what has been your journey like till now? What is it that you have done? What is it that you're doing? A brief thing about yourself.
Yeah, I'll just take a minute to introduce myself. I am Anushri. I have been a Bombay girl all my life. I've been born and brought up in Mumbai. I did my school education, college education. I did BCom, MCom from Mumbai. Did my CA also from Mumbai. After which I worked for a year at Blue Star Limited in their corporate finance department. I took CAT, my first attempt, in 2020, in 2018, sorry, 2019, and that was November 2019. Got a good percentile, took interviews, got into IIM Ahmedabad in 2020. So my batch for IIM Ahmedabad was batch of 2020 2022. It was partially the second half of COVID, so some of my college life at IIM Ahmedabad was from home, and half of it was from college. Thoroughly enjoyed college life. Then interned at BCG, took up the final offer, continued joining BCG, and I have been with BCG for 2.5 years now. It has been exciting, exhausting, but I have thoroughly enjoyed what I've been doing for the last 2.5 years. And yeah, very glad to be here on this platform to talk more about it.
All right. Okay, so you mentioned that you are a CA and you have a background in commerce, so maybe MBA was a logical extension of that. So you had already decided to do an MBA while doing your graduation, or was it maybe when you started working that you decided to go for an MBA?
Right. I think CA course has this wonderful option to do an internship while you're studying for CA, which is a 3-year articleship, which is when I realized that I enjoy some subjects, but I did not enjoy quite a few subjects that would enable me to do it for a lifetime. So I, therefore, to be very precise, I enjoyed audit, but I did not enjoy taxation. And taxation is something that keeps changing, is dynamic. Audit is something which is very very similar, that has been going on since years now, and maybe with the advent of technology, maybe a lot of audit would now be automated, and CAs would only be required to do signing. Of course, there's a lot of scope in finance, but somehow I felt that my interest was not being constant in subjects that I thought would lead to a very long lasting career in finance. Which is why then, somewhere during the end of CA, I realized that okay, I will finish my CA course, I will get done. But then, of course, I want to work for a year and then try my hands at MBA. Everything that sounded like to be a management student um, sounded interesting to me. So I have always been outspoken and an extrovert, and I loved planning things, like even personal events. I loved planning, management. So I thought maybe my skills are more aligned to what a management student and a management graduate should be doing in life, which is why somewhere during the end of CA I decided that I will be doing an MBA, and I did not want to waste a lot of time. I took the immediate attempt that was following after my CA completion, which is why I passed out of I became a CA in 2019 itself, in January 2019, and then I took the first CAD attempt out after that.
Okay. All right. So you would have prepared for roughly 10 months or so.
Not 10 months completely. Maybe I started somewhere around April and I prepared till November. So yeah, around 7 months for sure.
Okay. And what was that experience like? As in any memorable events that were a part of your preparatory journey?
So honestly, I genuinely enjoyed my CAT prep, and I keep telling this to my juniors and seniors as well. That CAT prep is a time that you actually put your brain to so much work, because of course, some concepts you need to understand, but a lot of it is application of concepts. And CA course does not allow a lot of scope to kind of take your time to understand concepts and apply it. It's more about what you've read, what you've been doing at work, and then applying it. So I genuinely enjoyed my CAT prep, all three subjects, quants, English, that is, and as well as DILR. I enjoyed all three subjects. Uh, very notable moments from my CAT prep was that I met people from different backgrounds. So being in a CA course restricts you to people in the finance background or doing BCom or doing CA itself, because it's a rigorous course. You don't have time to kind of go and meet people outside your fraternity. So CAT journey helped me meet people from engineering background, from LLM background. So that was actually very exciting. It was the beginning of what I was going to see in college, that people from different backgrounds come together. So that was definitely also one of the highlights. Yeah.
All right. And do you think your background in CA, so coming from a competitive test, having so much of say academic rigor as well, do you think that helped during your CAT preparation as well, or were you always a good student and that's what continued in your CAT prep?
Correct. No, I think that definitely helped. CA course does demand you to work and study for longer hours. And I decided to take up a job alongside CAT prep. I was adamant that I don't want to sit at home and prep. Of course, that people have that choice, and that's completely fine. But my priority was to take some work experience as well. So I decided to work and do CAT prep, and that requires some discipline. So I would say that a CA course does put in some discipline into you, because even your articleship you do alongside studying. So that is why I think I could successfully do at least a couple of hours of prep every day while also working.
And you started in the month of April, so mocks would have started almost immediately, right? So as soon as you would have started serious preparation, around the months of April or May, the mocks generally start.
Correct.
So did you have any difficulty getting used to the mock taking, or maybe you took mocks a bit later in your journey? So how was that part of your prep journey?
Correct. So honestly, I just blindly followed what my mentors and teachers asked me to do. They told me that even if you have just done 40-50% of your prep, just go ahead and take mocks, because once you take mocks, you really genuinely understand where you stand, what is your prep level, how are you in comparison to others. Not to compare yourself to against with your peers, but just to get an idea about where are you lacking, what subjects are you doing better at. So I just completely blindly followed that guidance, and I started taking mocks from day one, which was I think the first week of May. So that really helped. I did not do very well in the first few weeks. In fact, the first few mocks I was not very good at by percentile, but that really helped me change my focus from a couple of subjects or a couple of topics to others. So I started taking mocks immediately as they started.
Considering that you might not have done well in some of the mocks, initial mocks at least, were there any doubts in your mind whether I'm doing the right thing, or should I continue with my job and do something else? So did at any point in time that doubt creep into your mind?
Definitely, sir. It did occur, but again, as I said, I had come in with an attitude that I am going to follow what my mentors and teachers tell me. Not because I didn't have any other guidance. There was nobody in my family who had taken CAT before in the recent times. There was nobody else in my CA friend group that had taken a CAT and was trying to crack an IM. So I had completely followed what teachers had told me, and in fact people find it very unbelievable, but until October, I remember I had not hit 95 percentile. I was somewhere lying in the beginning. I was somewhere in 80 percentiles. Then even in September, I was just lying in the range of 90 to 94 percentile, which definitely is not enough to crack like the top IIMs. or maybe sometimes enough, but you don't want to be on the edge, right? So definitely somewhere in October, I remember being very, very stressed about not being able to cross 95 percentile. That
mm,
time that time CAT was a total of 100, 300 marks, 100 each subject. And I remember
mm,
not being able to crack 100, the 100 score, which is basically 100
mm,
out of 300, which
mm,
seemed quite doable. But somewhere in October, I started getting those doubts. But then I thought ki it's 1.5 months of prep. Even my family did support me a lot. They kept telling me that you at least don't lose hope. So my constant advice to even people I speak to is just don't lose hope because you're not doing well. Maybe your main CAT exam would be the best test you take actually. And that actually turned out to be true in my case. That
mm,
the my final CAT exam was the best percentile I ever got. And when I came out of that test, I was so confident that this is the 100% that I could give. This is the best attempt that I could give. So that
mm,
was a lot of relief. I didn't know whether it would get me calls or not, but when I came out, I was so happy because I knew that I didn't give up. And because of that, I could stay calm. I did not compare myself with anyone. I was like, it's fine. I have hit 90 until November. I had hit 98. I even did not ever hit 99. I think the
mm,
last mock I took, I had somewhere around 97 or 98 percentile, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll do this, or I'll do better, or I'll do worse, but I'm going to
mm,
go in with the confidence that this is going to be my best cat attempt. So I think I was
mm,
very calm during um all three subject tests, and then I
mm.
came out very confident, thinking, "Ki, okay, this is the best I could give, and I'm happy about my attempt now."
As in, did you take other tests as well? What all calls did you have? What were your percentiles like?
So I definitely took mock test series, which was a 25 set test series. I
Mm,
did it with IMS. I also
mm,
took at home tests from time.
mm,
My idea was that I saw my preparation getting better when I started taking
mm,
mocks. I saw that I could recognize, analyze my test series in a way that I could recognize which subjects are easier for me and which subjects or which topics are not.
mm,
Which is why I thought ki somewhere in the month of July, I realized that maybe I should try another classes or another
mm,
organization's test series. So I took up time, but I always took time tests at home. IMS, I went to the center, tried and tested in an environment that would be similar to a actual CAT test. So
mm,
that I did at the center. Also took a lot of sectional tests. So sectional test is basically one subject test.
mm,
So I took that a lot from home because I thought maybe 3 hours, even time was so much of essence during weekdays that I thought maybe if I don't get a 3 hour slot at continuous, let me take 1 hour
mm.
test and let me do that in an environment of a time limited scenario. So I take a lot of sectional tests as well.
All right. And did you also appear for the ZAT, SNAP, and MAT, and all these tests?
Okay, so that way, yeah, I did take up ZAT, which is the entrance test for XLRI. Um, I did not take up any other tests.
Mm,
ZAT also, I knew that my preparation was not customized or not to the point that is required for XLRI, but I just took it because I thought it's okay to have a backup. I had also
mm,
applied to SP Jain, which does not have
mm,
a different entrance test as such. They have a merit-based shortlisting system. So that is another organization I'd applied to,
mm,
considering ki if my CAT score comes well and it complements my merit-based criteria, then maybe I have a shot at it as well.
Nice, nice. So, what was your interview preparation like? And what all things did you specifically focus on, and how did you go about the entire
Right. Again, my I really enjoyed my interview prep as well because that is the time I actually got to look back and analyze my entire journey from like school to getting my first job. So that actually gave me time to sit and analyze, introspect my entire journey. My interview prep initially was to kind of understand what all I have done. That also includes my background, my family background, where I come from. So everyone would be aware that interview questions can range from any thing about your life or your education or your work experience or anything related to current affairs as well. So I started with prepping about my journey, my background. And then I also side by side started reading a lot about general current affairs and history, because um, did not consider myself very well versed with current affairs. I always keep telling people that when if you feel you're not the person that's ideal for quizzes, or you have not done a lot of GK in your school life and you feel you're
Mm.
not up to the mark, cat gives you the cat entire preparation gives you 2 months, and that is genuinely enough to know about what's happening, at least in that particular year, on the recent
Mm.
past, right? So I took it upon myself. I remember I had a diary, this fat a diary, and I kept writing current affair topics, because it was so difficult for me to kind of there were a lot of topics, right? There was topics around geography, history,
Right.
current affairs, politics, and as a CA, I need to know about the recent developments in taxation, audit. So I maintained a
Mm.
diary, and I thoroughly enjoyed the entire process of getting to know things. I could read a
Mm.
lot more, and of course, getting to know my own journey and doing the process of predicting questions on my
Mm.
own journey was also exciting, that you need to kind of predict what questions could come up about your life, and
Mm.
then kind of prepare answers for that. So I thoroughly enjoyed that process as well.
Nice. So yeah, I can completely relate to the diary bit because even at my time, of course, this is 14 years back when I prepared for the interviews, and
Yeah.
at that point in time, even I did something similar. I used to write whatever topic was there, one line at the top of the page, and uske baad whatever I get, right? उस time पे तो मतलब of course the information was not as freely available as it is now. But हाँ मतलब whatever I could find, Wikipedia entries से लेके news articles से लेके
Correct.
whatever I could find, I would just write it down, some statistics and so on. And I think yeah, that is something that genuinely helps as well. I did the same thing during my B school as well.
Yes.
So yeah, that is something that's very good advice. I think people will definitely want to implement it.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you remember your IMA experience? I know it has been what, 5 years now, but
Uh,
how much
Three
of
and
it?
a half years. Yeah, long back. And life moves so fast after your MBA
Right.
that you tend to forget things. But I think that were the two. I think the entire 3 years from CAT prep until I passed out of IMA were the best 3 years of my life. Thoroughly enjoyed every bit of it. Life at IIM Ahmedabad is tough. It's fast. It's rigorous. It's competitive. But it also humbles you. It shows you that you are just one bit of a very large crowd, but at the same time it boosts your confidence in a way that couldn't have been boosted anywhere else, because you find yourself among the very talented and bright minds. Not that they are not found anywhere else, but you get a small picture about how people from different backgrounds think, how do they act in different situations, how do they take decisions. So that was a lot of fun. Everything that I missed in college life during my CA preparation, I kind of got to enjoy it during IIM Ahmedabad. It was also the first time I was staying out of home.
Hmm.
I had never stayed out of home for like 24 years of my life, and that
Would you recommend
also,
people to do that?
I genuinely think that even a small chunk of your life, if you stay out of your home, it actually uh, helps in your all-round development. It ensures that you are capable enough to handle yourself in the ups and the downs.
Hmm.
So I think that duration of staying alone and managing stress as well as enjoying the high points of your life is fun. And that time you actually learn a lot about relationships also. You understand who are your friends, who are not, how to deal with friendships, how to let people in your life and also keep them at a distance, because it is definitely competitive. So I
Hmm.
think that also is a very big learning from the from the IIM the bud journey. Plus the
Hmm.
teachers that are there at your MBA. I don't think you will ever encounter people who are so learned, so educated, but still can come down to the age of people from the age group of 20 to 28, and teach them concepts that they might have heard somewhere, but teach them in a very different way. So I think that is also a very remarkable feature of MBA organizations or institutions in general, that they teach you concepts that you've already learned in a very different way, that you remember them and you know how to apply them in future. So yeah, I
Mm,
think that is about my IIM Ahmedabad journey.
nice. And what was the interview like? As in, what was the process like? Any questions that you remember?
Yeah, I remember every minute of my at least IMA, IMB interviews. Those two interviews I think were very, very memorable. Both were very different. IIM Ahmedabad was a very long interview. I was first in my panel to enter
Mm,
because I don't know if alphabetically or because of a different point in my CV, I was first in my panel. Everyone in my
mm,
panel was a CA. So there were
mm,
6 CAs in line sitting, and I was the first one to be called in. It was a 45 to 50 minutes long interview,
nice.
and they started. It happened as you would describe any IM interview to happen. They started with my personal background, then they went to education, then they went to core CA topics. I was taken aback when they asked me really tough questions about GST, and I was the last. That was the last thing I could think that they would ask me about.
Mm,
Um, and then they softly shifted towards extracurriculars, and they ended with asking me about my hobbies and my passion. I was so happy that they shifted from educational questions like the GST questions to extracurriculars, because I had some things on my CV that I genuinely believed were differentiated in that panel of 6 CAs. So
mm,
probably if they ask CA questions to all 6 people, I might not be the best one to answer it. But
mm,
something different from the CA background, I would definitely be able to answer better. So when they asked me about my hobbies, I was just so happy, and I just tried and directed the interview and ended it on a high note. I take full credit that maybe I couldn't answer the GST questions that well, but when the point came that they shifted gears, I just took that, and I took that opportunity to kind of end my last 15 minutes or so on my hobbies and extracurriculars. So I was
mm.
very happy about it. The way it ended, of course, I was nervous about the first 30 minutes, but the last 15 minutes I was very happy about. And my IIM Ahmedabad interview was very different. I had to wait about 2 hours to get into the interview room because I
Oh,
was maybe the fifth one to get. I was the second last one in that panel. So
mm,
already I was very tired. I was like, because you keep thinking about what questions they'll ask, so you're anyway very mentally exhausted. So I went in. It was a 20-minute short, very stressful interview. Anything I spoke was objected to. Anything I answered was been told that is not good enough.
mm,
I could make out somewhere 5 minutes within the interview that this is a typical stress interview.
mm,
But I could answer questions with a smile, or at least without showing the stress on my face.
mm.
Very different experience. I've never encountered something like that. But I also enjoyed that process. Of course, after IMB interview, I was very humbled. I
So, Anushri, you mentioned the rigor at IIM Ahmedabad. So, I have heard these stories, as in from my friends as well. That let's say, for example, you get tired after a long day and you are like, "Ki, Chalo, today let's not work on this assignment anymore. I'll do it tomorrow morning." You just have to go to the window and just see how many lights are on. So, is it that competitive, or do people just make it more than what it is?
It is definitely competitive. Everyone there comes to kind of give their best attempt for the 2 years, and you see people never get exhausted. And that itself gives you energy to push yourself as well. I remember not sleeping for more than 4 hours for a week.
Mm,
During interviews, during the placement week, or even during college fest, like people are so engrossed in doing everything. People wanted to have fun also. People wanted to do good in tests. People
mm,
wanted to give their best in classes, go prepared. So everyone is trying to push their level higher. Everyone is trying to push the bar. So that itself gives you energy. no, maybe not in a very competitive way, but you realize that if people your age or maybe younger than you can do that, even you should be able to do it.
Mm,
So you try to get energy from it, you get motivated from it, and that definitely happens. Even if you walk in the corridor of your dorm at 2 in the night or 3 in the night, you will find people chit-chatting or studying or moving around, getting water bottles filled. So I think that is definitely true that at any point in the night there would be a couple of students awake for sure.
mm,
Even if you go for a walk out in the campus at 4 a.m., you will find people having Maggie or people strolling, people discussing interviews or people discussing the case studies that are going to happen next day in class. So that is
mm,
true. But it also helps you develop friendships that last very long. Like you go, so it's said, right, that in crisis people make the best relationships. So it's that that when you sail through the most difficult situations together, it
mm.
genuinely connects a chord between two people, and then you kind of continue being friends for all your life. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. So you mentioned the placement process at
Correct.
IIMA as well, right? So what was it like? As in, so I'm sure it was the cluster based process by that time when you entered. I think it was a cluster
Correct.
based, not a day based thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But what
Yes.
was it like? As in,
So, it is different for different people. It depends on what mindset you come in with. When I started my MBA, I knew that I didn't want to do finance at all.
mm,
That is the whole reason I was wanting to do an MBA. I knew that consulting is something that is sounding interesting. It sounds more dynamic. It sounds more relevant, and which is why I wanted to crack consulting in my internship itself. So for me, my summer internship placement process was more important and more rigorous than my actual placement prep.
mm,
And I had gone in with an attitude that I am okay, because maybe 1 month in the course, I realized that managing everything is very difficult. You cannot get a great academic score, great internship that you want to land
mm,
into, and as well as do extracurriculars. So I kind of prioritized. I don't know how I got that intellect to kind of prioritize, but I made it in my mind that for the first two terms, which is leading until your internship placement, I will focus on placement. And since that is the time you actually get to participate into clubs, you also, for each club you want to get into at IIM Ahmedabad, you have to pass two or three interviews.
mm,
So that itself is also very difficult. So I realized that okay, I've not done a lot of extracurriculars in my CA course. It did not allow me that time, but I am going to do it now because I genuinely enjoy it. Academic, I of course you cannot ignore academics at IIM Ahmedabad. You have to at least stay afloat. So I thought I'll give it as much importance as it is needed to kind of stay afloat and get a decent grade. Maybe not an A in all, maybe some B's, some C's, maybe, but I will
mm,
definitely be very disciplined with respect to my placement prep, and I will enjoy extracurriculars. So that is what I
mm,
decided. So for the first two terms, I was very focused on internship prep. People prep for about a month or two. I started immediately as the course started. I did not waste
mm,
any time because I was of the opinion that engineers do a little bit of consulting prep in their engineering years also. CAs
mm,
don't do that, right? So I had to start from scratch. So I went into the bias that maybe I am not as prepared already as others. So let
mm,
me
mm,
start early. So I started very early. I started somewhere in June itself. I started doing case studies. I started taking case interviews, reading a lot of case books, and that I think gave me a lot of edge over others in terms of my preparation. So I was very
mm,
confident during the week of placement interviews. I had also kind of made up my mind that I'll not take finance. So I had to do well at in consulting.
mm,
It is a little bit of a risk. Not everybody should do that, and it's not recommended. But
mm,
I took that risk, and thankfully it landed in good place.
mm,
But having said that, I completely shifted my priorities in the second year.
mm,
After I got an offer, and I mention it right now as you asked me about placement prep, because people misinterpret saying that this student only did extracurricular, still landed a good academic score. How did that
uh,
person do? Uh, I was that person who did not focus a lot of on academics in the first year. But in the second year, when people actually start enjoying, start letting loose, people start thinking ki, "Arey, this is the last year of my college, let me enjoy it." That year I actually shifted my priority and I was like, okay, I have not done great at academics, but I don't want
Hmm.
to go out of college out without a certain CGPA. So I
Hmm.
am going to push hard in the second year in academics, get the CGPA I want to. So in my second year, I actually focused a lot on academics. I took the advantage that I don't have to prepare for placements,
Hmm.
and I did push in all the subjects. I also tactfully selected my subjects, some
Hmm.
that I wanted to genuinely learn, and some that would ensure me a good grade. Those
Right.
trade-offs you have to do. And in the second year, I did that. I got the CGPA I wanted to. I wanted to cross an 8.3 CGPA, and I crossed that.
Hmm.
So that is how I balanced. You cannot do everything at one point, but you can definitely choose phases in your IMA journey or any MBA journey as such that you
Hmm.
focus on your priorities. You just have to be disciplined and have clarity in your own mind about what you want
Hmm.
to get out of that particular phase. So yeah,
Completely agree. So same thing as in even at my college. So mine was slightly different because we had percentage system. So
correct.
even if a company used to come on campus, they didn't know where exactly is this person in that entire
In the
batch, right?
entire, yeah,
So then I decided कि चलो मतलब I will do a lot of extracurriculars. I'll pack my CV with extracurriculars because academically I
correct.
had a different CV, right? So वैसे था तो I completely agree. The third term entirely was being a part of the placement team at FMS when I did my thing. ठीक
Oh,
है.
okay.
Any committees that you were a part of during your MBA? Anything you did to
Yeah,
build your CV?
I genuinely enjoyed the committee clubs, SIGs that I was a part of. I People usually are take up 2 or 3 clubs because they also demand a lot of your commitment and time. I was very ambitious. I was a part of 5 clubs in the first year, and I one of those was consulting club, which was definitely because I wanted to get into consulting. Then I was a part of the elocution or the club that organizes extempore or elocution competitions. So I was a part of that. I was also a part of the club that is a social initiative. Basically, it's called Prayas. It organizes free mathematics and English classes for uh, the government school students, as also there are some students that are adopted by IIM Ahmedabad. There are those students are not underprivileged by any way, but have not been able to get good English education, which is why we
Mhm.
organize classes. A lot of the helps on campus have their children enrolled in that particular initiative, so we kind of teach maths and English in a much easier way to them. So that was another group I was a part of. There are two big fests that happen at IIM Ahmedabad. One is Chaos, which is
Mm.
mostly a cultural fest, and there is TRBS, which is a business fest. I was a part of both in both the years. Thoroughly enjoyed that as well. So yeah, I think these were the clubs I was a part of. Yeah.
On to where you went after IMA, right? So you had a PPO from BCG, right?
Yes, I had a pre-placement offer. That year was COVID year, so our internship was completely from home.
Hmm.
I got a PPO and I was very happy with it. I did not want to do anything or try any other company, so I just completely accepted my PPO right away.
Hmm. Right. So what's life at BCG like?
Huh. Life at BCG is hectic, it's exhausting, but it's exciting as well. I have always wanted to do consulting, and which is also the reason that keeps me going because it has been my dream job for a couple of years, and now to be able to do it, I genuinely feel is a privilege. So I am very happy with the kind of work I do. Obviously, there are some days which are extremely stressful and extremely exhausting, and those days you feel like, oh, I can't do it for another year. And people
Hmm.
generally do consulting for 2 years because it gives you a lot of learning. You get to know about a lot of industries, and it gives you an edge over others. And then people usually shift gears to a more stable or a less stressful job.
Hmm.
But I enjoy my work so much that currently I'm in a mindset and a phase that I am okay to give up on a few things and give maybe a lot more hours to my job than others do. It also helps me do things that I never imagined to do. Like I have
Mm,
done a lot of tech projects, which I never imagined to do as a person with finance
mm,
background. I do a lot of projects for IT companies, which again I had never thought I would do.
mm.
So it also helps me divert into areas that I never thought I would, and that I find is very exciting. So I have been very, very active in doing multiple industry projects, which I genuinely enjoy. I also do a lot of placement for BCG. So I go back
Mm.
to campus and I'm a part of the recruitment team, which is
Nice.
another part that I really enjoy because I was somebody who used to look up to people who used to do
Mm.
recruitment from IIM Ahmedabad, and now I'm a part of that team. So that also I really, really enjoy, and I'm a advocate of the concept that you need to do consulting for at least a few years so you get the experience that it gives you. It also
Coming back to consulting, as in, see, consultants, you can't really define it on a day-to-day basis. So people generally ask, right, what's a typical day like in the life of a corporate finance person or a marketing person and so on. So of course, we're talking about quarters, 6 months, and so on and so forth, right? So what does a typical project look like for a consultant, or a typical quarter look like for a consultant?
Okay. So every project is different. So how we take up our projects right now at BCG is it's a marketplace model. We look up. There's a platform. There's a portal that lists all the projects that are open for you. You look at which project you want to pick, and there are also project leaders, which is the
Mm,
senior management that is a part of a project team. That also looks at the consulting staff that is open to be staffed, and
mm,
your interest should match. For example, I am interested in a particular project, uh, but the project leader will also look at my background, will look at what kind of
mm,
work I have done, how I have done, who I have worked with, will talk to those people and kind of see if I'm a fit for that particular project. If the project leader also shows an interest in staffing me, and if I am also interested in the project, only then will that project be allocated to me. So a yes from both sides is required. It has its own pros, it has its own cons. We get
mm,
to do pick up any projects we want to. It's upon us. But it also puts a little bit of pressure on you that you need to have a good history, to do well so that people pick you in future.
right.
But at any point of time there are so many cases open that you can find whatever you want to do. You will find a case at all times. So
Mm,
that is how we get staffed on a project. Once we get staffed on the project can be anywhere from 4 weeks to 3 years.
mm,
I have never done a shorter than 4 weeks project. I've done a 6 weeks, 8 weeks project, but right now I'm on a project which is a 3 year long project.
mm,
Uh, so you can also pick your duration. I have done a lot of Delhi, Bangalore cases. Now I'm in a Bombay case. So location can be different, duration can be different. Your project management and the project team is obviously different. That always keeps changing. The one
mm,
thing that remains constant is constantly doing problem solving for your clients. It could be
mm,
either a strategy case where you're actually trying to strategize, build a solution for your client, or you're trying to do an implementation where you're trying to implement a solution, implement a product, launch an app, or try to do some kind of change management for your client. Any given point in the case, you're always doing some or the other kind of problem solving for your client. It is not that glamorous that every day you will be doing some kind of brain work. Some days you're just trying and sitting in front of an employee trying to convince them that what you have suggested is a better solution. And some days you're just filling up Excel sheets. So those days are also that. And sometimes you find that, okay, I'm okay with a day which does not require my brain to be at work, and that is also fun and relieving at sometimes. So that is one common thing that is always there, which I also genuinely enjoy, that I'm always working on doing a solution or getting to a solution.
mm.
um, And yeah, I think that is about a normal project. Some days are really tough, some teams are really demanding, some teams
Hmm.
are really fun to work with. You genuinely enjoy traveling with them, having all three meals of your day with them.
Hmm.
And that also develops a good bonding within the team, which helps in turn to give a better output. You have to somewhere pick your priorities, your location, your team, your the problem statement, industry, is what you have to pick. In the first 4 years, you don't have to pick a particular industry. Somewhere at
Hmm.
the end of 4 years, when you are up for the promotion for a project leader, that is when you
Hmm.
try to narrow down on a couple of industries. It's better for you
Hmm.
if you pick one industry, stick to it, so that you are better at applying solutions. You don't have to start from scratch in every project you enter. But in the
Hmm.
first 3 years, definitely you can experiment a lot of industries and a lot of different problem statements.
So, what are your plans going forward? Any personal projects that you intend to work on, or something that you want to do maybe 5, 10 years down the line?
I don't have a very long-term goal. I never had one. My short-term goal is just to be able to uh do a better work-life balance. Honestly, I was somebody who used to genuinely like writing. I had a very active blog until I am
Hmm.
Ahmedabad, and then somehow into corporate world, I started getting less time for it, or I started doing something else, and hence I couldn't continue writing. I started shifting gears from a long format writing to a short format writing. I shifted from a blogspot to a LinkedIn writing. That is what I
Hmm.
continued doing even during my corporate job, but somehow I think in the last 7 8 months or so I haven't been able to do that also.
Hmm.
That's also a part of the reason that once you get higher into a particular company, you are more required to be more disciplined and give more
Hmm.
hours at work, which is why I've not been able to continue. But my immediate goal is to be able to continue writing, continue
Hmm.
playing a sport or so, because that genuinely helps in the overall
Hmm.
well-being, and plus you are doing something that you really really enjoy. So I want to take up writing again. I have been meaning to but not being able to do that, but I want to do that. And yeah, I want to now narrow down on a particular industry at work as well. um
Hmm.
Keeping like people say that okay, there are no limits, but honestly after getting married or after having a family, you cannot travel for 12 months a year. You can
Hmm.
maybe travel for 1 or 2 months, but you can't travel like all your life. So somewhere you have to pick an industry which also aligns with where you want to stay. So I'm in the
Hmm.
process of finding industries or finding projects that are more Mumbai based, because my
Right.
entire family is in Mumbai. And I definitely don't want to stay very away from family. So that is
Right.
one priority that I have picked recently. That okay, now I have to narrow down on a project. I did all my traveling in the last 2 years. I was never at home, kept traveling all my life. But now I want to narrow down on that. So that is one thing. And yeah, that is my immediate one, personal and professional goal right now.
And anything that you would have told your younger self, maybe in around 2019 when you started your CAT preparation, something that you would gone back in time and advised your younger self?
Um, so I think I did tell a bit of that to myself. I would tell it more firmly now, is to not give up. Because if I would have given up that time, I would have probably never take a second cat attempt. I was a CA which who couldn't crack final CA in the first attempt. There's a lot of misnomers, or a part of it is true also, but a lot of people tell you that if you're not a ranker at in your CA journey, if you're not a
Hmm.
first attempt, you will never be able to get into an IIM. And even I was told that by a lot of friends, that it's very difficult if you don't have a rank, and it genuinely is. It's not easy. In my batch of 20 CA, in my batch there were 20 CAs, and 19 of them were rankers, and I was the only one who was not a ranker. I was not even a first attempt CA. So I kept doubting that part of myself, but something worked out, and I did not give up on CAT. I got a decent percentile, got into IIM Ahmedabad. So I just want to tell myself, I would tell myself and everyone else who probably did have some black spot in their CV. People always tell that, यार मेरा 12th में 90% क्रॉस नहीं हुआ, या मेरा 10th में 89 रह गया. I would always say to them that you can't change anything about it, right? Even if I want, I can't go and get a CA rank, or I can't go and get it done in the first attempt. What I can do is
Mm,
do in future. So whatever is
mm,
in your hands, you should do that. What I did was make, as you also mentioned, that you focus on extracurriculars. I did exactly that. It was not very intentional in the beginning, but once I realized that, okay, this is something that I can develop, I have the skill for writing.
mm.
I love writing. Maybe.
And some piece of advice for all the aspirants who are preparing for the interviews and also for their tests.
Right. I would say that you should definitely enjoy the preparation journey. If you take it as a burden, or if you take it as a thing that you have to do because you want to get a good career, you might end up doing it also, but you will not remember it as a very fun journey.
Mm,
So my advice is, even if you're preparing for interviews, enjoy it. Take mock interviews, enjoy every question that comes your way. It
mm.
will definitely help in the all round development of your personality. The only reason I can take out time on a Sunday talking about this is because I genuinely enjoyed that journey. I'm very grateful to everyone who helped me in that preparation journey. Um, which is why I'm very confident about it. I'm a confident person who believes that prep genuinely helps, and I genuinely think there's no other way to crack an IIM or your dream job apart from working very hard for it. So while working hard, please enjoy. Have a good memory about it. That is what I would tell aspirants right now.
Nice, nice. And it's a good thought, right? Because people generally put a lot of stress on the outcomes and so
Correct.
on.
Correct.
But it's the
Correct.
journey that makes it memorable and fun at the end of it. You can't really
Correct.
enjoy anything, as in you can't really show results if you don't enjoy the entire journey. And a lot of consulting also has to do with preparation because you never know what
Correct.
kind of project you might get next.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
before you even start the project, you need to be prepared mentally and also in terms of theory. So
Correct.
that is always a replicable trait, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So I think on that note, we will close this. So
Yes.
thank you, Nushi. Thank you so much for taking out time
Thank you, sir.
and
Thank you
interacting with
for
all
having
the.
me. I want to say a big thank you because you're genuinely helping a lot of aspirants who find who are looking for guidance, who are looking for inspiration or motivation. And I think everything on your phone is so much attractive to you that if they find a clip or a note or a message or a poster that gives them some kind of motivation to keep going, I think that is very helpful. I have myself relied on a lot of blogs to study, a lot of videos. Even after getting into IIM Ahmedabad, I used to look at people who were in BCG and they spoke about it. So it was very inspiring. So I think what you're doing is very helpful for students. And it is, once it's on the internet, it's permanent. So that is helpful for students coming and going for many years. So that is very helpful. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me also. I'm happy to be a small part of whatever you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anushri. So, yeah, on that note, we'll close this. Thank you
Yes.
again. And I
Thank
hope all of
you.
you had a good time. Do let us know in the comment section what did you think about this. And in case you have any queries, you can let us know. We'll try to get Anushri also to answer in case there are some questions that are there. But yeah, do let us know what did you think about this entire interaction. Hello everyone, welcome to this video wherein we have a very special guest with us. As you might have seen in the thumbnail and in the title and the description, we have Anushri Naik with us. Now, Anushri is a CA by qualification. She is also an alumnus of IIM Ahmedabad and she is presently working with BCG from where she had got a PPO during her MBA. We will discuss with Anushri what her preparatory journey looked like because there are a lot of ups and downs that you can learn from. We will also see the entire psyche of someone who goes to IIM Ahmedabad experiences and how it's formed. And we'll also have a look at consulting in general as a career. And there are a lot of preparatory nuggets along the way as well. So go through the entire video and we will start our interaction with Anushri with this first question.